When you learn better, you do better. And it's all about what we're learning for ourselves to grow into the best version of ourselves. See, what I've learned is that the education that I have is not enough to make me grow, to help me grow in a way that I want to succeed. See, when you learn better, you do better just because of the information that you're learning for yourself. You know how to apply it. I had to be open to learning when I didn't know how to. When you learn better, you do better. It taught me the importance of education. Not just education from a book, but education in life. I had to become a student of life to learn information that I wasn't aware of. And see, that was the thing that I wasn't prepared for, that the information I was preparing for was so overwhelming, was so confusing. It was a language that I've never saw before. That's when I start to expand my horizon, expand the way I thought about education. Education is not just going to college. Education is studying and learning every single day. What's going on, everybody? My name is Terryl with the Humphrey, and welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge. Here at Failure is Knowledge, we empower you to become the best version of yourself. If this is your first time here on this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and wait towards the end and leave a comment. Learners, we have to be a student of life, become daily learners. Learners is something that we have to adapt the name of. Simply because we adapt the name of learners, we're constantly learning for ourselves. And see, I didn't recognize the power of reading until I start to read more. And see, that's what this video is all about, is why should you read more? And the 3 points that I'm going to cover in this video will be: first, knowledge expansion. The next point I will hit on is vocabulary enhancement. The last point I want to touch on is lifelong learning. And see, it really dawned on me when I understood that we have to become learners of life. Just because we understand that there's a lot of information around us, that's when we get in trouble, because we don't know where to begin. The first one I want to hit on is knowledge expansion. See, what's so scary is the information that's in the book. Even though it's in a book, it can be learned. I didn't understand. I didn't even recognize that. I remember the first book that I ever read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's not a real estate book. It's really a book to help you shift your mindset, just the way you think and think about yourself in current situations, right? As I'm reading this book, it's giving me a different perspective of a rich dad and a poor dad, really a rich mindset, or a open mindset rather than a closed one. And what it taught me is that everybody has a phase when you have to grow from what you have been doing. See, once I understood that I had to become a learner, me learning became overwhelming, because the information I was reading in Rich Dad Poor Dad, it felt relatable. Even though it was relatable, how can I apply the information I just learned? That's when I understood, yes, Rich Dad and Poor Dad is the name of the title, is the name of the book. Yet the description and the explanation that's inside the book, I wouldn't find that out if I never opened the book and read it. I didn't recognize that the knowledge expansion was me re-identifying that my mind was closed. The way I thought was too little, because I didn't know how to think big. I wasn't aware that you can think big. All you have to do is just change what you think about yourself. Even though I thought so neutral of myself, so normal, I had to learn that it takes time to change your perspective of who you are. It took me time, because I didn't know what I was doing. When I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it was so impactful, so powerful that, yes, one person's mind was open, the next one was closed. How can the closed-minded person become open-minded? And it taught me that you have to want it for yourself. You have to want to change and grow and evolve and learn how to. See, when I learned how to become a daily learner, it taught me the importance of reading. And the information was in the book, but I had to pick the book up and start on page 1. Even though I started on page 1, I went to page 1 to page 2, page 2 to page 3, page 3 to page 4. I'm learning information that I wasn't familiar with. I wasn't familiar with the open mind and the closed mind. I didn't recognize that the knowledge that was in the book was expanded the way I thought about myself. And it really taught me that the importance of life is learning how to control yourself. And even though I didn't recognize that my mind was closed because it never was taught to me, I was learning how to become open-minded. Did it happen overnight? Absolutely not. It happened when it was supposed to happen because I was constantly learning on how to work with it rather than against it. What is it? Rather than work against my mind, how can I work with it? That's the difference between being open-minded and closed-minded. You're working with your thoughts rather than against it, because when I was working against my thoughts, everything was so difficult. Everything was so overwhelming and frustrating because I couldn't figure nothing out. Yet it taught me when I worked with my thoughts, everything became more understanding and easy to understand because I learned how to control myself. I changed what I thought, and as I thought became big, because there's a saying that goes, when you dream big, you think big. Yet if you think small, you remain the same. If your mind is closed, how can you grow into somebody better? If your mind is closed from information that's right in front of you because we are not comfortable reading a book, how can we change and evolve to the best version of ourselves? I learned that the information is in the book is just learning from other people's experiences. Even though we're learning from other people's experiences, how can we put that in our everyday life? How can we learn how to be learners of the knowledge? See, when we expand our knowledge, we understand that everybody has a story and we have to choose what path we want to focus on. And it taught me that even though Rich Dad and Poor Dad was two different people, two different perspectives, two different mindsets, we can change when we decide to do it for ourselves. And that's why it became so important, because once we learn how to read, once we are open to learning, that's what growth happens. Because it doesn't happen if we're not willing to read page 1. It doesn't happen if we're not willing to open a book and even read it, because as you're opening up the book and reading it, there's information in there that's going to expand what we think about ourselves. And the next one I want to hit on, and this one is so empowering, so powerful, is that it enhances your vocabulary. And what this means is that rather than saying one simple line, one simple sentence, how can we use different words to present it differently? For instance, this video is great. Or that video was immaculate because I learned how to learn. I learned how to be a student. See, the vocabulary enhances your communication because your communication gets determined by what you say. I didn't understand what I was saying was mattering because I wasn't aware of it. Even though I wasn't aware of it, that's not an excuse to not put effort into my growth. Not just my growth, but into myself. And see, when I learned that it's enhancing my communication, my vocabulary, how can I learn more? See, there's words in the books that I never heard before, but so how can I get better with publicly speaking? I have to read and learn how to communicate from other people's experiences. As I'm learning from other people's experiences, I'm feeling and recognizing how it enhances my growth. Now, how it enhances my vocabulary, how it enhances my communication. See, the word of the mouth is very powerful because what we say is how we think about ourselves. When we have an open mind about who we are as a person, what we're saying to ourselves is so positive because we understand that the word of the mouth is so dangerous. And it's only dangerous because what you say can come to life. We're manifesting bad. We don't even recognize what bad even is. I had to learn how to be a student in life to open my mind rather than closing it off from opportunities for learning. Even though I wasn't aware of what was being closed for me, I was learning how to control myself and how to become a better communicator. Right? I can only communicate if my vocabulary is enhancing. As I'm enhancing, I'm learning from other people's experiences because their stories are so impactful there's a lot of relatability. There's a lot of relatability. I just don't know because I haven't opened up a book. When I opened up and I started reading, I learned that the mind is so powerful. We misuse the mind because we don't understand it. And why you should read more is because of it. It enhances everything that you are doing because you have to focus on the words that you're using. I didn't know me being a communicator was me using words that made sense. It was me identifying the grammar and perfecting the grammar every single day. Am I perfect now? Absolutely not, but I'm always learning. Learners learn because we want to get better, because we have an open mind. And as we're having an open mind, we have to be willing and open enough to go through the hard times of not knowing the information. See, Rich Dad and Poor Dad was so powerful because it taught me that all you have to do is just change what you think about yourself. It sounds so easy, yet so difficult, because I was comfortable with the person I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't know how I wanted to communicate. I didn't know how I wanted to show up. But this book that came about because I was listening to a podcast and they say, man, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Everybody kept referring it. Go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm like, what is Rich Dad Poor Dad? I read the book. The book changed my life because it changed the way I thought about myself. See, books got power because we have to learn how to read and learn from other people's experiences. The reason why we should read more is because we grow when we are learners of life. We grow when we learn from other people's experiences, because experience is the best teacher, because I can't tell you if you have done something because I wasn't there. Yet your experience presents the lesson because the lesson is helping you learn how to have an open mind. And that's why I learned that the vocabulary get enhanced once we decide for ourselves. See, vocabulary enhancement doesn't just come accidentally. No. It has to be worked on every single day. We have to decide to increase and enhance what we're saying, what we're learning, what we're doing in a way that's going to show up in everyday life and everything that we're doing. See, I can't say that the words that you're going to learn today, you're going to remember tomorrow. Yet what I can say is that as we enhance our vocabulary, when it's time for them to be present, for them to be heard, they will be delivered in a manner where we are comfortable saying them. See, all it takes is effort. All it takes is belief. All it takes is trying. See, we get so afraid of trying, we never start. We get so afraid of failure, we never learn. We get so afraid of not knowing the word, even how to pronounce it, we don't even open the book to even read it. That's when I learned that the book is the most powerful thing to learn. The book is the most powerful thing to hear. The book is so powerful because it has so many lessons that will enhance our life. Before I get to the last point, if you haven't read Master Your Mind, 10 Tips to Shift Your Mindset, and the reason why this video is so important, because we have to be willing to learn from other people's experiences. And by other people, I'm just saying from my experience, because Master Your Mind, 10 Tips to Shift Your Mindset is so powerful that it's going to show you why open the book is okay. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna read one small paragraph. As I'm reading one small paragraph, hopefully it shows the relatability that we have. While on my journey, I have learned that my success is my responsibility and no one else's. It takes time to develop this level of awareness. Nonetheless, I had to accept it. And it's ironic how that page just said, I have learned. I became a learner of life to grow into the best version of myself. If you would like to read Master Your Mind, 10 Tips to Shift Your Mindset, the description will be in the description below. The link will be in the description below. Make sure you click it, purchase it, and learn more about yourself, because we all have a story. We just have to be willing to walk into our greatness. And the last point I want to hit on is lifelong learning. The reason why lifelong learning is so important is because information has been here for ages, for decades, for centuries. It's been here for so many years, for so many centuries. We don't understand the power that's in these books. And when I understood that information from the 1800s, from the 1700s, from the 1500s, from the BC time is so powerful. We're just not reading the correct information that can help us have an open mind. And see, even though life has went on, life is continuing to go on, we have to decide to become a learner of things that we do not know. See, the first book was Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't remember the second one, but the second one, it inspired me to do the third one. I remember last year I read 22 books. That's including ebooks. And it was so surprising to me because I've never done that before. Nonetheless, I started with one. When I started with one, I wanted more. I wanted more because I saw what this vocabulary did for me, because it enhanced the way I thought about myself. As it enhanced the way I thought about myself, my knowledge expanded because I started to believe in everything that I was doing. I thought I could make $1 million in a month. I didn't recognize making $1 million in a month is difficult if you're not the person that can make that. If you don't have the knowledge that can make that. If you don't have the skills that can make that. See, everything is a process. I just thought I believed in myself so much. Yet it came from me reading that book, and that book opened my mind up because it taught me how to be a lifelong learner. It's ironic how we often are learning about new things that we have interest in. See, there's a lot of books about different categories, different topics. We just have to be comfortable with opening up one page at a time. One page at a time, because that's one page is going to teach you why it's so important. It's so powerful to recognize that the lessons that's in this book, the lessons that's in these words, the lesson that's in this paragraph is so powerful because it's showing you that you are in the right direction. In order to be a lifelong learner, we have to open our mind up in a way that demonstrates the power of growth. See, in order to be a lifelong learner, we have to learn the correct information. When you learn better, you do better. And when you do better, you understand why you're great, why you're evolving, why you have an open mind. I learned that when I learned better, I do better. And it taught me the importance of continuously learning. I have to be a student of life and learn about things that I don't even know, or things I've never even heard of, or just situations that I'm not comfortable with. Like, for instance, I'm not good at science, but I didn't know that science was a part of life. Because I failed it. Chemistry and biology, I failed. Yet the word ology is the study of life. And when I recognized that science has something to do with life, I'm like, oh, that's why I failed that, because the language was different. It was different because I wasn't learning it. I wasn't learning it, so I had to be open to failing. Because when I was closed-minded, I thought that the teacher just wasn't teaching the correct information. No. He was teaching the information. My mind was just closed because I wasn't interested in the topic. That's when I understood that life, we have to learn what life is to control who we are and who we're becoming, because who we're becoming is teaching us the importance of lifelong learning. I didn't recognize comfortability destroys the power of learning, because of it destroys the knowledge that has been expanded, and also keep you maintained of the vocabulary that you already learned. There's a lot of words there's a lot of words to be used, a lot of words. Yeah, if I learn one per day, I become a better communicator. If I learn one per week, I become a better communicator. If I give effort to learn more about what I don't know, me being a lifelong learner demonstrates the power of belief. See, I didn't recognize that belief was being demonstrated as I continued along my journey. That's why it's so important to be comfortable reading. We have to be comfortable reading. We have to be comfortable learning, because when we're comfortable learning, we learn more than we expect. Reading is not cool, but it gives you the best knowledge. You don't need to be cool to grow. That's when I learned I have to do this for myself. I have to learn information I never heard of, because the information I never heard of is going to put me in situations and places that I've never been. Because I'm giving the energy, as I'm giving the energy to learn, the answers are being presented because I'm becoming resourceful. Why is it so important? Because we have to be open to reading and learning, and how to be an effective person, how to be an open-minded person, how to really just be a learner. And when we learn, we understand why success, why change is coming our way. If you got value from this and really want to watch more on how to repurpose your pain into your passion or personally develop within yourself, leave a comment down below.